Hello everyone, my name is Bethany, this is Joyful Habits, and welcome back. Today we're going to be trying another thing that I have never done before in my life, and that is making paper. Actually, if I'm being honest, I have made paper once before, but I was like 7, and there were adults helping me, and they kind of were just like, here, do this, and then push this button, and then do that, and then blend it, and then, yay, you made paper! Hooray! Yay! So yeah, we're going... I swear I have the vocal stamina of a kitten who has yet to find its meow. Been talking for like 2 minutes and my voice is already like, see ya. Okay, so anyway, back on point. We are going to be making paper today, but instead of just making like boring office paper, I wanted to try adding like flower petals and things, make it prettier and more whimsical and springy. And then I don't know if this would actually work for one of the pieces of paper. Instead of just putting flower petals, I wanted to put a bunch of flower seeds, and then when it dries, like cut it into the shape of a heart, and then you could like give it to someone and be like, here, plant love or something. I don't know. So okay, hear me out. If you take, okay, let's back up. We make the paper, we put seeds in it, we cut it into a heart shape, we give it to somebody and tell them to plant it. If they plant the heart, and it's like, right, put it like this, and then you cover it with soil, I wonder if all the seeds germinate and grow, would all the seeds grow up and still be like the shape of a heart, you know? We're gonna try that. So yeah, that's the plan for today. I'm gonna go around my yard and find some little like dandelions, and if you don't know what a dandelion is, check out my last video because I tell you all about my dandelion obsession. And also some little violets that are growing around our yard, and I don't know, whatever I can find really. Here, I can actually pitch one. Oh good. Okay. We have these little flower. Oh my gosh, look how long this stem is. I feel really bad now because this flower is clearly had a long life and I just ended it. Like, if it had enough time to grow a stem that long, okay, I feel really bad now. Okay, moving on. I guess we'll just make sure we make the most of this flower. So these are little violets. They're growing all over our yard, along with dandelions, which if you don't know, dandelions are abundant this time of year where I live, but they're kind of considered a weed, but I'm obsessed with them, so. But they're these little yellow flowers, and then we also have these little violet flowers. Here, I'll see if I can. Come on, focus. There we go. As you can see, I'm under, there's a flower that's near me. Well, anyway, I'm under a lilac tree. So my plan was to kind of go around my yard and find dandelions and violets, maybe a few petals off the lilac tree, grass, I don't know, I'm gonna kind of be making this up as I go, but sprinkle it into the paper and make pretty flower paper. And we're gonna have fun. So I'm so happy you're here. Let's go figure out how to do this. I'm still here. Hi. So we're not really making paper today so much as recycling and reusing paper scraps, because what we're going to be doing is collecting some paper scraps, blending them into a pulp, spreading them out to be a piece of paper, and then letting them dry. Now, something to keep in mind when you're collecting your paper scraps, if your paper scraps have writing on them, different colors, scraps of newspaper, it's going to affect how your final product looks. I made sure that all my paper scraps had no writing, scribbles, or colors because I wanted a nice, bright, blank slate for all the flowers and things we were going to be mixing in. So you're going to put your paper scraps in a blender, and then you're going to grab some warm water and cover the paper completely. And then we're just going to, and as you can see, water went everywhere. I'm still not sure why. I inspected the blender, I couldn't find any cracks or holes or leaks or missing parts, so yeah, I tried it again. It still leaked everywhere, and because I really didn't want to have to find something else to blend everything, I decided to just grab a towel, cover it up, and blend away. Unfortunately though, it really did not blend the paper very well. So I ended up pulling out my NutriBullet and blending up a few more batches. Gave me a much better pulp mixture instead of such big pieces of paper. So you're going to want to find some kind of basin like I have here and pour your pulp mixture into it. And then we're just going to add some water to make sure that it's deep enough for us to dip our paper mold into. So this is what I'll be using to make our paper today. It's really just a wooden frame that opens up. One side of the frame you can put your hand through, and the other side of the frame has a very fine netting. Alright, and it's time to try making our first piece of paper. So what you're going to do is take your frame and dip it into the basin. Shake it around a little, make sure it's nice and even and there's not big clumps of the pulp anywhere on your netting. And then you're going to slowly pull it out of the water, let the excess water drip from it, and then you're going to flip it upside down onto a towel. I'm using a microfiber towel here because it's just very absorbent and works very well for this. Now when you flip your frame onto the towel, the netting should be on top. It should be facing you. And then using a sponge, you're going to gently absorb some of that extra moisture to help the piece of paper come loose from your frame. You're then going to lift the frame up and put another towel over top of it so the paper is sandwiched between two towels. And then using a rolling pin or a block like I have here, you're going to gently flatten out your paper and continue to press out some of that extra water. And then you gently peel the towel off your paper and then set your paper somewhere to dry. Okay, so now that we have the basics down, let's add some embellishments. I have dried lavender buds here that I'm going to press into the paper once I take it out, and then everything else from there is the same. So as you can see, I messed up a little bit on this piece of paper. I made it too thin, so there was not enough pulp in there to make a sturdy enough piece of paper. And then when I added all the petals and rolled it out, it kind of ripped it up a little bit. So I went ahead and tried again, this time making sure that I had a thicker layer of the paper pulp in my frame. I'm once again going to sprinkle some of those dried lavender buds into the paper. And I'm also going to take some flower buds from the lilac tree and add those in as well. Okay, and everything is same as before. We put it between two towels, and using a rolling pin, I'm just pushing out some more of that water, and then I set it aside to dry. And I've got to say that one turned out much better. So again, when you're making your paper, just make sure you're getting enough of that pulp in your frame so that the paper is not too thin. So our last piece of paper, we used a lot of purple flowers with the lavender and the lilac petals. This time I'm going for a yellow theme. So I have some dried calendula, and I'm also going to use some of those dandelions that I found out in my yard. For this next one, I'm going with a pink theme and using these light and darker pink colored flowers. I decided instead of putting the petals in after the fact that I would mix them in with the pulp as I was dipping the frame into the basin, And I do think this helped to incorporate them a lot better and less of a risk that they're going to just fall out of the paper later on. As you can see, instead of them just sort of laying on top of the paper, now they are truly incorporated into the paper. As I got going here and had made a couple pieces of paper, my towels and my sponges were very wet, which was making it harder to dry the paper and flatten them out properly. I probably should have taken the time to dry out the towels and the sponges in between, a few batches of paper. And because my sponges were not doing a great job at absorbing that extra water, I pulled out a hairdryer, which actually seemed to work pretty well. Okay, and now for the one I was pretty excited for. Let's go ahead and grab our flower seeds and mix those into our piece of paper. This is the one that I later on want to cut into little heart shapes and either use for little favors or on a tea party tablescape or as a gift, and you can give it to someone and have them plant it and see what grows. There we go. So I just set my paper outside on the porch so they could dry on the warm sunny day. And here's my basket of paper. But overall, I'm very happy with what I got, and I have lots of plans for how I'm going to use my new paper. We have a second method. Hello, I'm back. It's a week later. I now have a basket full of paper, kind of, sort of. As you can see, it's very pretty, right? But it's also very wavy. Turns out when you're very impatient, you decide to use a hairdryer and the sun, it sort of messes things up. So, our lesson today is to remember the wise old saying of haste makes waste, and when you're making your paper, just let the air do its thing. Just let it dry, don't bake it in the sun, don't torch it with a hairdryer, like I did. So anyway, yeah, I'm still pretty happy with how the paper turned out. I do think it's very pretty, and I have a lot of plans for what I could do with it. Probably use more for decoration, cut them into little tags. So this one with all the flower seeds, I haven't cut this into a heart shape yet. I'm kind of scared too because it's so brittle, and also I am not the best with freehanding, cutting stuff into shapes. Yeah, well, hopefully this is gonna turn out okay. But no time like the present, so okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it. I gotta think for a minute. Let me just think and visualize what I'm trying to cut here. This is going to ruin it. We're doing this. I'm meeting some resistance. I think we're gonna change the title of this video to I made cardboard when I tried to make paper. Because this stuff, oh my gosh, I got it. Okay, you ready to see it? You ready to see my free-handed heart, which actually is not as much of a disaster as I assumed it would be? Look at that. We actually have a little seed heart. And then when you turn it around, it's just like paper on the back. But like, look how thick that paper is. Can you tell? See what I mean by like it's more like cardboard than paper? So yeah, that's our little flower heart seed. Really excited about this. This would actually be really fun if you were hosting like a tea party or a garden tea party or something, to have these as little like favors to put on the plate. Because I do have some videos planned to do some like party planning and tea parties and picnic and all that stuff, so I might set these aside and use them in one of those videos. Hey, we made paper. Didn't quite go according to plan, but we still got our little heart seeds, which is kind of the thing I was most excited for. And with that being said, my name is Bethany, and this is Joyful Habits. My wrists, both of my wrists just cracked when I did that. I was like... So anyway, my name is Bethany. This is Joyful Habits, where we daydream and add a touch of whimsy to the ordinary. I'll see you very soon in my next video, and until then, keep smiling. Bye, friends!